Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to another episode of the Catholic League Forum. I'm Mike McDonald, Director of Communications at the Catholic League, and joining me today is Bill Donohue, President and CEO of the Catholic League. Bill, we had a very busy week this week, so I just want to real quick touch gloves on a couple of important things that we dealt with, and then focus on a little bit more on a couple of other ones. Real quick off the top, Tuesday was the 60th anniversary of Vatican II. Can you give us a little reflection about what's your thoughts on that?
Right. Obviously, there's an awful lot you can say about it. My own feeling is that one of the things I wanted to address is when you have a traditional organization such as the military, such as the Catholic Church, um, certainly you can go ahead and make changes. Okay,
Right.
but those changes have to be very carefully thought out and not go too quick. It might be that some of the changes came upon the church very quickly in the 1960s and they weren't ready for the implementation. I do think that most Catholics have adjusted themselves. We reached out to Jews, which we should have, interreligious dialogue. A lot of good things came out of Vatican II, don't get me wrong. But trying to be trendy is not a good thing, and that's what some people are trying to push the church to today. On October the 10th, there was an article in USA Today, very fine, showing that the Methodist Church is in free fall. Not just the Methodist Church, the mainline Protestants. Why? Because they want to become relevant. They were allowing the editorial page of the New York Times to determine their own teachings, particularly on matters sexual, and the membership is plummeting. So the answer to being relevant is not to adopt the dominant culture's norms and values. First of all, you should always pursue the truth
Right.
and don't worry about public opinion polls. So I think the Catholic Church could learn something from our Protestant brothers, at least the mainliners, who became too trendy too quickly.
Yes. And as we actually saw real quick in our survey, that's what Catholics are very
They
hungry
want
for.
principle. They want an anchor. They want a moral anchor. Surely you can change, but don't make it glacial and don't do it too quickly.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, Bill, there's also been a lot of push from society today trying to make everyone be relevant, and particularly focusing on Christians and their beliefs. We have to use pronouns.
We
Uh,
won't do that here, though.
no, 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 no. So all that. Can you tell us a little bit about the origins of where this is stemming from?
Yeah, the article I wrote is about thought control, which is a serious problem in our society today. It's coming from the left, obviously. It starts in the academy and college and universities, as it always does. And the argument I try to lay out is this: you get a guy like Jack Phillips, okay? He's the guy with the masterpiece cake situation before the Supreme Court. He always served homosexuals. But when a homosexual couple came to him and said, "We want you to inscribe a wedding cake for us," you're asking him to affirm that, and he's a Christian. He doesn't get along with that. Supreme Court heard the case. He won on a technicality. Now he's back in again because they have to resolve the big case: gay rights versus religious liberty,
Right.
conscience rights. And now it deals with the transgender guy who says that I want to celebrate my transition. Here's the problem here. The old-fashioned dictators, Franco in Spain, the czars in Russia, they were dictators, but
Right.
they were in charge of the polity of the government. They didn't care what you thought. A totalitarian, somebody like Stalin and Mao, they want to get inside your head, and this is the problem what's going on today. Mao perfected it with thought control, the brainwashing, and now you've got it going on here in some segments of American society because the lawyer who's going after Jack Phillips again says, I want to get his thoughts. He has errors of thought. I want to get inside his
Right.
head. That's an invasion of privacy. That's conscience
Right.
rights, and it's all inextricably tied to religion. So thought control is bad, whether it's in a democracy such as ours or in a totalitarian country such as the Soviet Union or China.
Yes, absolutely. And dear viewer, if you're interested in any of these stories, do go to our website, CatholicLeague.org. We'll have a link in the description below. There's a lot more to unpack there, but we do have a couple of big updates to get in on. Now, Bill, recently we've been talking a lot about the FBI, and the leadership there has really been focusing in on pro-life leaders, pro-life activists, targeting them with pre-dawn raids, sending out what looks like SWAT teams going to people's homes. And you recently put out a letter in September asking Senator Chuck Grassley from the
Right.
Senate Judiciary Committee, ranking member there, to look into this a little bit more. Can you tell us what's going on this week with
Yeah, I
that?
want to try to give you the timeline, people, on this. You'll see more about it up on our website. I believe it's September the 23rd. A fellow named Mark Hauk. He's a pro-life guy. He's in Philadelphia. He brings his kid along. They're outside one of the clinics, the Planned Parenthood clinic in Philadelphia, I believe it was. And he's there with his 12-year-old son. Some abortion rights activist gets in the face of the son, starts harassing him. The father doesn't like that, and so he shoves him. All right, maybe he shouldn't have shoved him. That's it. Now, all of a sudden, that was last October. Next thing you know, there's like a pre-dawn raid. 25 to 30 members of the FBI showed up with their rifles drawn.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have domestic terrorism going on here or what? It was a totally overreaction to a minor infraction. By the way, it was already thrown out of the courts. They went to a district court in Pennsylvania, so this infraction was already moot. But here's the concern. That happened on September the 23rd. 3 days later, on the 26th, I wrote to Chuck Grassley, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, saying we need a probe of the FBI. This has gone on too far. We have churches, like 80 Catholic churches, being vandalized or torched.
Yeah.
We have crisis pregnancy centers, many of them run by Catholics, being vandalized or destroyed. Where is the FBI dealing with domestic terrorism?
Right.
Those are violent actions by on the part of the pro-abortion people. We have one guy who's involved in a small infraction, and we have the FBI SWAT team show up. There's a duplicity here. Now, I was very encouraged the other day that on October the 12th, there was it 20, 70?
40 members.
40 members, Republican Party, joined in with Chip Roy, the Republican, the representative, the congressman, and Senator Mike Lee. There was 38 of them, plus those two. There's the 40. They wrote a letter to Christopher Wray, the FBI director, saying, we got to look into this duplicity, the overreaction against innocent pro-life people, and doing nothing about the violence by the abortion rights people. I took advantage of that today, here October the 14th, to write to Grassley again, doubling down, saying now that we have these Republicans, the 40 Republicans, asking Wray for a hearing, you've got to go ahead with the probe or a hearing, one or the other. And we also then contacted all the people there, Chip Roy, the congressman, and Senator Lee, asking them, and then we CC'd the other 38 members, saying we commend you for this. So the FBI is out of control. Now look, I come typical Irish Catholic New York family, law enforcement, wall to wall. So I'm pro-cop, pro-FBI. Don't get me wrong on this. I'm also against people who violate our civil liberties and who play this duplicitous game of letting the violent thugs on the pro-abortion side get away with it while our side gets harassed by FBI people, 25, 30 people, smashing on the door. The guy's got 7 kids inside. This is inexcusable. These are Gestapo-type tactics, and they've got to end.
Yes, absolutely. And dear viewer, if you're interested in ways to get involved, do check out our website on that. Take a look at the letter that Bill wrote. See if your member of Congress was one of the ones that was involved in this, and do reach out to them. You hear this a lot, but it does make a difference. If all of us got involved, calling our members every day. I still remember when I was on the Hill, conversations I had with people. They would just call every day and hammer home their point. It does make a difference. It does stick in people's heads. And that is really the only way that we're going to be able to check the FBI and also advance religious liberty, pro-life causes.
And we're the only Catholic lay organization doing anything about this.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, other people write about it, they blog about it. I'm talking about getting the people, writing to the right people, pushing the right buttons, asking for the right things. You got to support the guys who are doing some good and let them know too. Otherwise, they'll feel like nobody cares.
Right, exactly, and we have to stiffen their spines, and that's very important stuff. Now, Bill, another very important update. Some of our longtime members here at the Catholic League are very familiar with the story of Father MacRae, and there's been some recent updates in his case. Can you give us a little bit of the history and what's going on now?
Let me just say this. Back around 1994, he was sent into prison, about 66 years. He has a chance to plea bargain. He won't do it because he insists that he's innocent of a charge. About 12 years earlier, which I'm very suspect. Why does anybody take you 12 years to say if you were sexually assaulted? You should do it the next day. All right, so he's in prison because he wouldn't take the plea deal. He feels he was railroaded by a detective, McLaughlin, and in fact, guess what's happened? McLaughlin they found out that he falsified some records of other people involved in the case. The question is, did he falsify records dealing with Father MacRae, Gordon MacRae, sitting in prison in New Hampshire? I believe he's innocent, and I've stood by that for some time. Wall Street Journal's been very good, first with Dorothy Rabinowitz, and now with Harvey Silverglate, a crackerjack attorney from Boston, wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal. Pray for Father MacRae. He needs your prayers. Justice has to be served, even if it's very, very, very delayed. There are some encouraging news here. If they do open up and reopen this case, now, given the fact that the Detective McLaughlin has had an animus against MacRae, we know that for sure. And if he is involved in falsification of the records with MacRae, as he did with others, that could change things dramatically. Maybe we could spring him. So yeah, the FBI has got to tame itself. We like the FBI. I love the FBI for what they've done throughout most of history. What they're doing today, and they've done other examples, don't ever persecute pro-life people and expect that we're not going to push back, because we will.
Absolutely. So, all right, dear viewer, it seems like a good point to wrap it up here. If you could go to our website, CatholicLeague.org, if you want any information about what's going on any of these stories, we've got a lot more information for you there. So do check that out. And if you could give this video a like, if you could click that subscribe button, that'd help us out greatly. Beat Big Tech algorithm, get this video in front of more people. We greatly appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.